Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Fallen London. Today we're going to be having a look at January's exceptional story, the play's The Thing. Let's jump in here. Sooner or later, everyone falls prey to a bit of wanderlust. And it seems tonight, it's your turn. But which of London's mysteries compels you this night? Is it the smoky backrooms of the Neath's gambling dens? Or the enchanting play of lights at Mrs. Plenty's carnival? No. Tonight you hear the siren call of the bewitching theatres of Vale Garden. Well, we better heed the call. After all, what better do you have to do? As you head down the street, you attempt to slip between a pair of fellow denizens of the evening, puttering in the opposite direction. At the last moment, one of them stumbles into a wall and nearly caroms right into you. A waft of cheap liquor from his breath hardly forgives the offence. Clearly, you are not the only one with wanderlust tonight. Best thank your false stars for going the opposite way. And here we go, an ill-starred production. Hawkers stand on every street corner, vying for the attention of passers-by. A young, red-haired woman wearing a most ostentatious get-up is more intrepid than the rest. You look like the type to be up for the show, eh? We're premiering a new work tonight at the Gilded Looking Glass Theatre, just down the road there, she says, thrusting a piece of paper into your hands. Curtains at 8. Don't be late. Well, let's have a look at the paper. It looks like a ticket. Sure enough, the theatre is papering the house, offering free tickets to ensure a packed audience. Either the producers are a generous lot, or they haven't much confidence in their play. Still, free's free. As you make your way to the Gilded Looking Glass Theatre, the street becomes quieter and less crowded. The gas lamps overhead seem to dim as well, as though guiding you toward the lone theatre at the end of the lane. Brightly lit. Above its doors hangs a hand-painted sign announcing the premiere of a new work, Mistress of the Z, a tragic romance by the waves. An usher opens the door for you and hands you a programme without even taking your ticket. Inside, a fair number of patrons have already taken their seats. In order to take yours, you're forced to step over the outstretched legs of a young man who can't be bothered to notice you. Well, let's read the programme. Perhaps there'll be some coupons for FF Gerbrand's or Mrs. Plenty's rubbery lumps. The programme notes feature a lengthy and passionate screed by the playwright regarding the inexplorable naivety of love and mankind's inability to escape its own past. Truth be told, it's a bit difficult to follow, but it passes the time until the curtain rises. Let's settle in for the show. After all, how bad could it be? The old opera house has seen better days, but the staff have worked to preserve its more baroque features, such as a brilliant and bejewelled chandelier. As its light dims and the footlights swell, a hush falls over the crowd. Behind you, a rusty seat squeaks as someone shifts their weight, nearly breaking your nascent enchantment. Long lost lovers, secret identities, burned letters. It's not that it's bad per se, although perhaps it is a little bad. This is the sort of nonsense that has reliably titillated audiences since well before the fall. In short, nothing you haven't seen before. So far, the only saving grace is an old sailor's monologue about being lost in a jungle of searing green, haunted by great predators. The elements are dreamlike, but he speaks as though he has lived it. It is completely out of place. Nothing else in the play is alluring or beguiling. By the time the interval comes, you can already predict the ending. He's her childhood sweetheart, This is why he was away for so long. That is why he didn't tell her till now. What else could it possibly be? One thing is for certain. Your attention will only hold for so much longer. So we have two options. We can stay to the bitter end. May as well get your money's worth. It was free. Or abscond to the pub across the street. Anything to rid the taste of stale theatrics from your mouth. Let's stay to the bitter end. I am a curious man. Predictably, the lovers reunite and the villain is brought to justice. The main player's exits have just compelled the audience to lukewarm applause. When the old sailor stumbles back on stage, his clothes are torn, arms and face covered in scratches and eyes wild. He babbles on about an ancient rivalry under the skin of the sun, only to collapse into tearful sobs as the curtain descends. It's not so much an epilogue as it is a warning. But tradition dictates that you adjourn to a place of intoxication and retrospection, and the pub across the street is more than happy to oblige. Interesting. We're at the Motley Fool. As you recover from your tragedical ordeal, you take in the atmosphere of the Motley Fool, a rustic sanctuary from the verve and vibrancy of Vale Garden. At the other end of the barkeep does his best to ignore the pleas of the older woman dressed in tatters, begging for a free drink. Back in a dark corner, two out-of-work actors attempt to outdo each other in misery. A cloud of stale smoke lingers in the air, its origin unknowable. Let's buy a drink. What else were you planning to do here? The barkeep breathes a sigh of relief as he answers your call, obviously glad for an excuse to leave the old woman to her troubles. You ask for another round, and the barkeep scoops up the coins you've laid on the bar. Just then, the Motley Fool's doors burst open, and a flurry of fur and feathers disrupts the relative quiet of the bar. Ruined, an elegantly dressed young woman laments as she approaches the bar to hover at your elbow. My usual Jonathan, if you please, and do see it's a double. After tonight's disaster, I fear this may be my final hurrah. Behind her, a middle-aged man in a fashionable evening suit attempts to console the young woman, fidgeting with his top hat. Perhaps if we'd done more publicity. Don't bother, Chauncey. It's all too clear. My script and I are to blame, and here I thought I finally had something. Only now does the woman notice you. Now leave me alone, Chauncey, she commands, as she holds your gaze. Didn't I see you in the lobby of the Gilded earlier tonight? You must have seen my show. Tell me, what did you think? It's all right, you can be candid. At that moment, the barkeep returns with the young woman's drink. No, wait. Let me enjoy this first. Face to face with the author of the unintentional tragedy you recently escaped from, you can't help but register the passion she has for her craft. Despite the quality of the show, she clearly cares, and cares deeply. Behind her, more and more patrons trickle in from across the street. It seems you're her captive audience once again. You do have the look of someone who has discerning tastes, am I right? The fervid playwright asks. What do you make of our little scene? Right, so we can say we prefer the classics. There's something of a formal grace to the work coming out of the Celestial School, you have to admit. Or I can say, there has been little true innovation since the fall. The Nocturnals are the only ones who seem to be willing to take any sort of risk. Or we can say the Neath holds a great deal of potential. You have to know how to cater to your audience, like the Bizarrines. I'm going to go with it has potential. It's a bit mean to be like, your play was terrible. Of a mercenary bent, I see. I don't blame you. It's all we can do to see that we get to the next day in one piece. I will say this. if you can understand, truly understand the essence of desire, what motivates people, what sets their hearts burning, you'll live like a king the rest of your days. Of course, at that point, it's no longer your art, is it? The fervid playwright seems a great deal more relaxed than when you first saw her, making a show of her failure. Introspective, even, if her knitted brow means anything. This is my dilemma. I have been writing my silly little plays for some time now. In all, 3 have been staged. The first 2 failed to make a profit, and if tonight is any indication, and trust me, it is, so will the 3rd. It's not as though I am some dilettante daubling in the theatre for a lark on my parents' money. This is, I'm sorry to say, my whole entire life. This gown, 2 seasons old and barely holding at the stitches, not unlike myself. I'm afraid it may soon be time to call it quits, lest I become this pub's new mascot. I don't know how I feel about this. I feel I'm resonating with this character quite strongly. As somebody who makes a lot of YouTube videos and things, like, it's horrible when you do something and it doesn't work, and I don't know. I feel this woman's pain. I'm not a huge, very strange. Right, so we have a couple of options. We can suggest she revise. It did contain some good ideas. Perhaps the solution lies in the execution. We can say she implies something new. There's nothing to be salvaged here, best to move on. Or we can insinuate that she asks someone else. Charming as she is, the fervid playwright's career may be beyond saving. At least, by you. Go revise. I don't think she should move on. You make a number of astute observations about inconsistencies in the key players' characterizations and point out a few of the more obvious plot holes. Nothing that can't be fixed with a week of sleepless nights. The fervid playwright tilts her head in thought. Saying he should come on stage sooner? Oh my. The fervid playwright rises from her seat next to you, smoothing out the wrinkles in her gown. You've given me quite a lot to think about, and I thank you for that. It's left me feeling awfully sober, though that may be because Jonathan's skimping again. Can I see you out? Let's leave the Motley Fool. It's best to leave before last orders are called. You rise and follow the fervid playwright out of the Motley Fool, leaving the other patrons to their merriment, or sorrow, as the case may be. As she hails a carriage, the smoke from her coffin nail lingers under the light of a gas lamp. I've had a wonderful time chatting, and I hope I haven't been too much of an intrusion. A carriage arrives, and she opens the door. To tell the truth, I'm rather glad to have met you. Till next time, I hope. The fervid playwright climbs into the carriage. Just as she's about to close the door, a cat jumps nimbly in, a certain ragged nobility to its ruddy coat. Before the playwright has noticed its appearance, the carriage is already on the move, away into the night. It's time for us to retire. We have an unsolicited letter. Opening the door to your lodgings, you're greeted by a courier announcing a special delivery. A brown paper parcel with a letter attached. When you ask who it's from, he merely points at the bundle and grunts, "It's on the envelope." The courier doffs his cap and leaves, revealing a cat sitting patiently in the doorway. It's the cat you saw the other night that clambered into the fervid playwright's carriage. It mews softly, but otherwise does nothing out of the ordinary. It has, rudely, appeared unannounced, but it is, after all, a cat. Well, let's read the envelope. I thought cats could speak in Fallen London, but I guess not this one. Sure enough, the fervid playwright's name is printed clearly on the envelope. The fervid playwright reiterates her delight in having met you at the Motley Fool. She has enclosed a draft of her current project, wanting you to be the first person to read it. Perhaps, then, you may tell her what you think. You unwrap the brown paper to reveal a manuscript titled Innocence Lost, a tragic tale. From page 1, it's nothing at all like Mistress of the Sea, not in tone, nor in action. You find your seat absent-mindedly as you continue to read, drawn in by the effortless depiction of pastoral life. It is as though you are there, in the play. In your mind, you float through a sea of tall grass, and before long, your eyelids grow heavy. Oh, why are we in the Parabola? Oh no! You are an immeasurable distance from London, in a place that is not. Distant mountains stand in relief against an orange sky as the wind rustles through ancient trees. This is your domain. This is where you belong. This is not your body. It is, but it isn't. You lumber with ease on 4 strong legs, terminating in 4 dexterous paws. Your skin is covered from snout to tail in a luscious, ruddy coat of fur. From your throat emerges a deep, contented purr. You are a tiger. This is your body, and it is beautiful. We have quite a lot of options here. I'm just going to start at the top by frolicking in the tall grass. Go on. You know you want to. The muscles of your feline form twitch to life, obeying a command older than time. Every sinew, tendon and bone in your body was made for this express purpose. To bound joyfully through the air, to feel the wind through your fur and the dirt between your claws. As you race through the field, the leaves of grass bend in deference to your supremacy. Insects skitter and buzz away for fear of being trampled. From the nearby trees, the warblers warble, as though cheering you on. You have never been happier. Let's chase some hares. You have something important to tell them. Your ears perk up to the telltale sound of hairs in the underbrush. Your nose wrinkles, confirming the scent of same. The stalk prey is a delicate thing. To move as though unmoving, to glide silent as a vapour until your quarry can only choke on your presence. But to you, this is nothing. This is what you do best. Alas, a twig snaps nearby, alerting the hares. Quickly they dash away, sensing a danger they cannot see. You give chase over fallen trees and across trickling streams. The sound of their feet pattering in the earth only serves to goad you on. The hares escape into the thick underbrush, but you cannot follow. You have failed, and you only wanted to tell them how cute they were. Well, let's groom ourselves. One doesn't just wake up looking like this, you know. Your life is full of constant joys, not the least of which is this: to lie lazily in the sun, atop a warm rock, and groom yourself. Some may question why you take such care with your appearance. They simply do not understand the ritual importance of such an activity. You do not groom for the sake of it, at least not purely. It is a vital function, as necessary as breathing. You wouldn't stop that now, would you? Every stroke of your tongue through your fur, every expression of saliva into the back of your paw, serves not only to maintain the luster of your coat, but also insists the world stop moving, to reach, if only for a moment, a state of balance and harmony. They do not understand this, but you do. Okay, let's proceed deeper into the dream. Perfection cannot last forever. You sense a change in the air. It comes to you as an instinct before rising through the layers of your consciousness. The orange of the sky turns a deep pink. All the vibrancy of the forest sinks into a brooding silence. Something is wrong. The grass around you shivers with deadly portent, and soon you are encircled by a thing you cannot see. When your eyes adjust to account for the pink hue of day, you glimpse between the leaves of grass bands of red, yellow and black, heraldry that stands your fur on end. With increasing urgency, the circle tightens around you, collecting itself into a coil of supple, leathery limbs. So we can either flee the snake's grasp, you're a predator, not prey, or we can find a place to hide. It can't catch you, it can't find you. I think we're going to run away. You bound easily out of the serpent's clutches, a coil weakly clinging to your tail. How it failed to account for your superior speed, you do not know, nor do you care. Nevertheless, the serpent whips itself into pursuit, almost closing the distance as it maintains a hard chase. At once, coils of red, yellow and black erupt from the grass on all sides, stopping you in your tracks. You turn about, hoping to find egress, but the ever-growing multitude of coils begins to overwhelm, and you are unsure whether you have been facing one serpent or 20. I mean, I'm going to fight my way out, but we could try to slip past. But "you are a tiger" is the best possible subtext, so I'm doing that. You are exquisite musculature. You are razor-sharp fangs and claws. You are a siege engine. You are death. The coils fall before you with each deft slash, and soon leathery skin and bone crunch under the weight of your feet. The serpent begins to collect what little of itself remains. You turn to face your foe, adopting a fearsome aspect. The serpent that once pursued you with quiet confidence disappears back through the tall grass, the faint parting of leaves the only sign of its presence. As you relax your posture, the tension in your muscles melts away. You can breathe again. The familiar chatter of the forest returns. We can wake up. These are sweaty bedsheets you're tangled in, not the slimy embrace of a snake. You only dreamed you were a tiger. Slurring back into wakefulness, you are overcome with profound exhaustion, despite ostensibly having slept. Rising, you feel a warm weight shift on your lap. The alley cat has curled up with you as you slept. It now pounces to the floor, washing itself as though nothing out of the ordinary had occurred. You look around you, hoping to find something of normality to help restore your bearings. You are back in your lodgings, in the Neath. This is your chair. That your window. Those your shoes. You look down at yourself, finding that you're not a tiger after all. Unless this is the dream. Best not to think about it too hard. Still, you cannot shake the feeling that you were actually there, wherever there was. That you were a great, majestic cat, that you fought off a snake of impossible proportions. Your body is not clad in fur and sharp things, and yet it aches from the ordeal. You notice the manuscript in your lap. From the bookmark, it appears you have read the whole thing through. Not only read, dreamed it, straight from the page. What sort of play is this? You rise, slowly, gingerly, hoping that the playwright has some explanation for all of this. But with that, I think I'm going to end this first episode here before we go back to talk to the fervid playwright. I absolutely adore this artwork. Look at how fantastic that is. But either way, thank you all very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Your comments are greatly appreciated. Thank you again to the coffee supporters and the members of the channel. It really does mean the world to me and help me keep making these videos. And as always, I'll see you next time.